Hi, and thanks so much for watching The Social Life, the place to be for entrepreneurs with a purpose. Today for Real Talk Tuesday, I'm answering a question from Mala, and she wanted to know what type of content she can put on her website. Where do I start with content? I totally understand that, Mala. It's a big question. It's a huge undertaking too, but I'm going to try to make it so that you can piecemeal it together and make it not so stressful, because it was stressful when I started out as well. So the first thing you really want to focus on is making sure you have your mission and vision up and how people can get involved. Those are the most important pieces of your content that you need to have on your website when you're getting started. Now, everything after that is pretty much just extra. It's a way for people to find you SEO wise with Google and all of that, just so that they can search for you. So it is good to have content on your website, but really I want you to just focus on your mission. Focus on having a place, if you receive funds through your website, focus on having a place to receive funds. Focus on having a place for people to find your mission and vision, and focus on a place for people to really see what your organization does. I rarely add content to my website, and I know this is really bad. However, that content is not what's going to make you get your donations, okay? Now, if you need to put out information, or that's the type of audience that you have, that you're trying to attract donors from your website, then yes, as far as content goes, I think you should definitely have it, but I think you should focus more on finding people online via social media than adding that content to your website as a bonus. So I'll tell you how I do things, and then you can kind of mold it to however you do things. Like I said earlier, I don't really put a lot of content on my website. The reason for that is because I'm only one person and I can only do so much. So my website has the bones, it has the mission and vision that I need up there. It has a place for people to support my organization, which are through the kids, through Launchpad for Kids. And it has a place for people to contact me, or to all the very basics of what they need. I have the bones of a website. I do have some information up there, and when I have more time or I have interns helping me, we generally put more content up. But when you're just starting out, truly you just want to focus on the bones. You'll find a lot of your support and a lot of people following you and things like that will come from your social media. So when it comes to social media content that you might use to put on your website, you'll want to look at days and buckets, if that makes sense. I'm going to try to explain that to you. But as far as days go, you'll look at, okay, on Mondays I'm going to put this up, on Tuesdays I'm going to do this, on Wednesdays I'm going to do these certain things. And then you'll be pulling from your buckets to say, okay, these are the types of things that I generally talk about. So I'll use my organization as an example for this. So I usually do Motivational Mondays, which is a very generic thing that you can find on pretty much any place. And so you're just joining part of what they do on social media, and you're using that hashtag so that you can also be found on social media. So Motivational Monday is my first thing I would do for the week. I try to stick to this as much as I can, but Motivational Mondays, and then I do Talent Tuesday. Since my program is based around exposing kids to, help them find their talent, I thought that Talent Tuesday would be a great way to kind of highlight how other famous people, if they didn't find their talent, they wouldn't be where they are today. And so the goal is to kind of show that if our kids don't have exposure to different activities, they wouldn't know, what they could do or what they could become. And so for my organization, that was really important. So I created Talent Tuesdays and what ifs and all these things. Now on Wednesdays, I usually do Rocket Wednesday, and we call our kids in our program Rockets, Little Rockets. And so we try to highlight one kid on Wednesdays and do that. And when I'm very regular and I'm staying up to date on my content, that's generally what you would see. Then on Thursdays, I have Thank You Thursday. Now Thank You Thursday is a very generic hashtag that many people use. I use my thank you notes for my organization and I put those up, or I'll thank a sponsor or a donor on that day. And that's generally what I use for Thank You Thursday. Now, I saw something that I loved, and before using it, I asked the person, hey, do you mind if I copy that? I love your idea. And I always think it's important to give people credit when you know exactly where it came from. So I think it was Keisha Montfleury. She had Just the Facts Friday, and she would put out facts about self-esteem for girls and things like that, and things that donors may or may not have known. And it was a great way to attract new donors so that people understand your mission and the point of why you're doing what you're doing. She gave facts so that people could see that, oh gosh, that's a terrible statistic, or gosh, I don't want to see that statistic or that fact. I'll help donate to this program. And I thought it was an ingenious way to get people involved, even on a Friday when generally most people are focused on having fun. Each day you have different buckets that you would pull from as your content. So I think that that's probably a very simple way. I think it's probably one of the most simple ways to start running your organization and having content for your social media. All I did from there is I pulled the things from social media and I put them on the website. And then when people were, I'd always have my website kind of link somewhere in the post or on the actual graphic or whichever, and that draws people back to your website so they can read your mission and vision. So you have to understand how the process works. Like, people may not find your website directly, but if you're directing them from social media to your website, then you need to have the bones there so that they can explore and find out what your mission and vision are all about and why you're doing what you're doing. You can introduce yourself on there, introduce your board on there. The very basics are what you need to have on your website so that when people do come to your website, they are actually learning more about your organization. All of the content is more focused towards social media. Now, if you want to have a lot of content on your website, some of the things that you can talk about are your board members. You can talk about your mission and vision. You can talk about your story. You can share stories about your donors and sponsors. You can share thank you notes on there. You can talk about your newsletter and what you have in your newsletter. You can talk about a multitude of different things, and those are just a few ideas. You can talk about highlights. You can talk about very unique things to your organization. But the thing that I would focus on the most is, if you're going to talk on your website, the most important thing is, if you're trying to draw people via SEO, then you need to think about your donors and who they are and the things that they're interested in. How can you be helpful? So for instance, on my website, we focus a lot on youth sports and activities and things like that. So something that might be helpful if I wanted to really create content on my website would be to have, dates that are coming out for signing up for Little League, or notifying parents, since parents are generally my donors, parents, grandparents, teachers, things like that. I would want to put information in that vein that would be helpful to the audience I'm trying to attract. So when you're trying to put content on your website, you really want to think about, what types of topics can I talk about that would attract the type of donor that I'm looking for and give value to them to come and visit my website and read the information here on my website. So when you want to get into your website and you're looking for more SEO stuff, you'll want to start answering more questions or things that are going to be helpful. Like, when does Little League start? So I would write a post on when Little League starts and when you can start to look out for them, the type of equipment you might need, all the things that go along with my organization that would also be helpful to someone else. And I hope that isn't too convoluted, but that is how you would find the types of content that you would write for your website. So you really want to take the time to think about who your audience is going to be, who you're trying to attract. What eyeballs do you need to come look at your website that may potentially donate? You need to then craft your content around that type of information that adds value for those people so that they will then want to stay on your website, look around, see what it's all about, and learn about your mission and vision and those types of things. But they were attracted by the content value that you already had there. Okay? It takes actually a lot of effort to get the content onto your website, and it takes a lot of effort to actually figure out what content will add the most value for your potential sponsor or donor. And those are the people you need to come and see what you're doing. So think about it in that way. Think about the vein that you're in and the audience you want. In that vein, what types of things do you need to talk about that would add value to the audience that you want to sponsor or donate to you? So if you're looking to attract church members, or you're looking to attract moms, or you're looking to attract young men, or whatever you're looking to attract, not your customer. You're looking to attract the donor, okay? So whoever that donor is who you need to try and attract. So if it's a mom, you might want to talk about ways to make her life easier with kids. Or if it's a grandmother, you might want to talk about activities for women over 60. So you have to think about how you're going to attract those people to your website first. And then once they get to your website, then you hope that they explore, and you can have links in there and all of that stuff to link them to, you know, who you are, who your vision, what your vision is, what your mission is, all of those types of things. So that all goes into part of marketing your organization. Well, in order to find some of those people, you will need to have some sort of presence on social media so that you can find new customers and new donors and things like that from social media. That is the most wide open area that you can put your content so that people find you and go to your website to maybe read the rest of your article or to learn more about your organization. So I hope that helped you guys. And those are just a few tips that you can use, you know, some very generic buckets like Motivational Monday that everyone uses, Thank You Thursday that everyone uses, and then some more unique buckets of things that you actually do in your organization that you want to highlight. People you want to highlight, donors you want to highlight, sponsors, anyone that is part of your organization that you feel the need to highlight. All of that is content. All of that is good content, and it's a way for people to want to share your information as well. So look at ways that you can highlight people, and look at ways that you can wrap other people into your organization and have them help highlight your organization by highlighting them. And you will have a wealth of content. I use a lot of interns and volunteers to help me if I'm going to start a content, machine, because it is a machine and it does take a lot of work and it is very difficult sometimes to keep on top of it. And sometimes you have to figure out what's the most important thing. So if it comes down to finishing your mission or putting content up, focus on your mission and work on the content later, or let some of the content pieces fall through the cracks. And that's important to say because sometimes we all get a little overwhelmed with all of the information and all of the hats we're supposed to be wearing. And so the content machine is tough to keep on top of. That's okay. Let it go if you need to, if it's going to sacrifice your mission at all. So that was just a little bonus tip that I feel like people need to know. But those are my tips on how to find content for your website and how to create content for your website. I hope that helped you all. And if you're not part of the Socialife Diaries, go ahead and sign up for that on my website at ashleytate.com. And if you aren't part of the Socialife Tribe, come join us. We're on Facebook. It's a free Facebook group for people just like you who are interested in unleashing their purpose. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.